I criticized my fiancé for putting his mother first and not me. From the moment we first started dating, my fiancé, Mark, always painted a vivid picture of our future together. He envisioned us as a traditional family, with me staying at home to raise our children while he went out to work. It was an ideal I struggled to align with, given my deep-rooted passion for my career in tech, but I was willing to make sacrifices for the sake of our family. The tech industry is a fast-paced, ever-evolving world, and I had worked tirelessly to carve out a place for myself in it. The thought of pausing my career for several years was daunting, but I loved Mark and wanted to build the life we had talked about. Mark is 9 years older than me, and from the beginning, his maturity and sense of responsibility were part of what attracted me to him. He always seemed to have a plan, to know what he wanted, and that stability was comforting. However, as time went on, I started to notice how much influence his mother had over his decisions. She was a constant presence, and though I initially admired his dedication to his family, it soon became clear that her needs often came before ours. Recently, things took a turn for the worse. Mark's mother, who had always been known for her extravagant spending habits, reached a point where she needed financial support every month. This new development put a significant strain on our finances, making it difficult for us to manage our mortgage payments and plan for our future. Mark's family often spoke about her poor money management skills, and I found myself growing increasingly resentful. One evening, after a particularly tense phone call with his mother, Mark sat me down for a serious conversation. He told me that he could no longer shoulder all the responsibilities alone and that I would need to return to work to help support his mom. This sudden change of heart felt like a betrayal. We had always planned for me to stay at home with our children until they started school, and now, that dream was slipping away. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach as he spoke. "But Mark," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "we've talked about this so many times. You know how important my career is to me, but I was willing to put it on hold for our family. Now you're asking me to give that up because your mom can't manage her finances." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know it's not fair, but this is the reality we're facing. Supporting my mom won't affect us in the long run. We just need to adjust our plans." "Adjust our plans," I echoed, my voice rising. "This isn't a minor adjustment, Mark. You're asking me to completely change my life because your mom needs help. How is that not putting her first?" The argument escalated from there, with both of us saying things we probably shouldn't have. I accused him of prioritizing his mother over me, while he insisted that he was trying to do what's best for our family. But the more we talked, the more it became clear that our visions for the future were no longer aligned. I spent that night tossing and turning, unable to shake the feeling of betrayal. The future I had imagined with Mark was crumbling before my eyes, and I felt powerless to stop it. The thought of returning to work, of leaving my children in daycare while I tried to keep up with the rapidly advancing tech industry, filled me with dread. The next morning, I decided to take a step back and really think about what I wanted. Mark's sudden change of heart had forced me to confront my own fears and desires, and I realized that I needed to make a decision for myself, not just for us as a couple. I decided to have a candid conversation with Mark about my concerns and how I felt about the situation. I told him that I understood the importance of supporting his mother, but I couldn't sacrifice my career and our future for her financial irresponsibility. We needed to find a solution that didn't involve me giving up everything I had worked so hard for. To my surprise, Mark listened. He really listened. For the first time in a long time, I felt like we were on the same page. We talked about different options, like finding ways to help his mother manage her finances better or even seeking external financial advice. It wasn't an easy conversation, and it didn't solve all our problems, but it was a start. As we navigated this new reality, I realized that our relationship was being tested in ways I hadn't anticipated. It wasn't just about the money or the career sacrifices. It was about how we communicated, how we prioritized each other, and how we supported one another in times of crisis. In the end, I decided to continue working, at least part-time, while we figured out a more sustainable solution for his mother. It wasn't the ideal scenario, but it was a compromise that allowed me to stay connected to my career while also contributing to our family's financial stability. Mark and I still have a lot to work through, and there are days when I feel overwhelmed by the challenges we're facing. But I also feel a renewed sense of determination. Our love and commitment to each other are being tested, but I believe that if we continue to communicate openly and honestly, we can find a way to build the life we both want. This journey has taught me a lot about myself and about the importance of standing up for what I believe in. It's not always easy, and there are moments of doubt and frustration, but I know that I'm doing what's best for me and for our future. And in the end, that's all that matters. A few weeks later, the situation with Mark's mother seemed to grow more complicated. It wasn't just about her needing financial support. She began to demand more of Mark's time and attention, often calling late at night with various crises. Her needs started to overshadow our time together, and I could feel a growing distance between us. One particular evening, after a long day at work, I came home to find Mark on yet another lengthy call with his mother. I waited patiently for him to finish, but when the call dragged on for over an hour, I couldn't hide my frustration any longer. "Mark, we need to talk," I said as soon as he hung up. He looked exhausted, but so was I. "I know she's your mother, but this is getting out of hand. It feels like she's becoming the center of our lives." Mark rubbed his temples, clearly torn. "I'm trying to be there for her, but I'm also trying to balance everything else. It's just a lot." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. "I get that, but what about us, our plans, our future? We need to find a balance that doesn't leave us feeling like we're living in her shadow." We decided to set some boundaries. Mark agreed to limit his mother's calls during our designated couple time and to encourage her to seek other sources of support, such as financial counseling. It was a difficult conversation, but necessary for our sanity and relationship. Despite our efforts, the strain of the situation began to seep into other areas of our lives. I noticed my work performance slipping because of the stress at home, and Mark seemed perpetually on edge. One particularly stressful week, I received a critical project at work that demanded my full attention. I was already stretched thin, juggling my professional responsibilities and our domestic challenges. Then, just as I was preparing for an important presentation, Mark called me in a panic. His mother had another financial emergency and needed immediate assistance. I felt a surge of frustration and helplessness. "Mark, I can't drop everything right now. I'm in the middle of something crucial at work," I said, my voice tinged with desperation. He sighed heavily on the other end. "I know, but she's in a really bad spot. I don't know what else to do. Can't you handle it this time? I've got so much on my plate already," I pleaded. "I'll try, but she specifically asked for your help with some of the tech stuff," he replied. I felt cornered, torn between my career and the relentless demands of Mark's mother. I managed to juggle both tasks, but it left me utterly drained. That night, I broke down. The weight of everything was crushing me, and I felt like I was losing myself in the process. Mark found me sitting on the couch, tears streaming down my face. "I can't keep doing this," I sobbed. "I'm being pulled into many directions, and I feel like I'm failing at everything." He knelt beside me, his face etched with concern. "I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how much this was affecting you. We need to find a better way." We decided to seek couples therapy to navigate the complex dynamics at play. It was a step I never thought we'd need, but it turned out to be incredibly beneficial. The therapist helped us understand each other's perspectives better and provided tools to communicate more effectively. Through therapy, we learned to set firmer boundaries with Mark's mother and to prioritize our relationship more consciously. It wasn't an overnight fix, but gradually, we began to reclaim our time and space as a couple. I also started exploring options for remote work or flexible hours, allowing me to balance my career and home life more effectively. Mark began to understand the importance of sharing the load and not letting his mother's issues dominate our lives. Our relationship slowly began to improve, but the journey was far from over. One weekend, we decided to take a short trip to reconnect and spend quality time together. It was supposed to be a break from all the stress, but even then, his mother's shadow loomed large. Just as we were about to leave, she called with another urgent request. I felt a wave of frustration wash over me. "Mark, we need this time away. Can't it wait until we get back?" He looked at me, torn between his loyalty to his mother and our need for a break. "I'll tell her we'll handle it when we return," he finally said, putting his phone on silent. During our trip, we had long, heartfelt conversations about our dreams, fears, and the future we wanted to build together. It reminded me why I fell in love with Mark in the first place. Despite the challenges, our bond was strong, and we were committed to making things work. Returning from the trip, we were greeted with a series of messages from his mother, expressing her displeasure at not being attended to immediately. It was a harsh reminder of the reality we were still facing, but this time, we were better equipped to handle it. Mark reassured me that he would take care of it without letting it interfere with our lives. Over the next few months, we continued to navigate the delicate balance between supporting his mother and prioritizing our relationship. It wasn't easy, and there were times when old patterns resurfaced, causing tension and frustration. But each time, we faced it together, armed with better communication and a deeper understanding of each other's needs. Mark's mother eventually started to take more responsibility for her financial situation, thanks to the external help we encouraged her to seek. It was a small victory, but it made a significant difference in our lives. Through all the ups and downs, I learned that relationships are about constant growth and adaptation. It's about finding a balance that works for both partners and being willing to fight for the future you want together. There were moments of doubt and pain, but also moments of profound love and connection that made it all worth it. As I looked at Mark, standing beside me through it all, I knew that despite the challenges, I had made the right choice. We were stronger together, ready to face whatever came our way, and build the life we both dreamed of. And in the end, that's what truly mattered.